Welcome everyone to our Astro Call. First question that came up, do I need to build net 30s first or can I skip that? What I teach inside of the training is to build up your business credit score before you apply for business credit. At a minimum, I would recommend you get at least one trade line on all three business credit bureaus. So you have Experian, Equifax, and Dun& Bradstreet. And you could do that pretty quickly if you go with Nav Prime and eCredable. So for example, we're at the end of the month right now. If you get the Nav Prime account, they'll be reporting the first week of next month. So in a matter of 2 weeks, you get your first business credit profile, reporting on all three business credit bureaus. You would need to get your DUNS number first though. And if you don't have your DUNS number yet, you can actually still get an eCredable account. You can still get a Nav account and it'll boost the other business credit scores, just won't boost the DMB score. And there's the website for eCredable. And you just click on business credit. All right. So with that said, I did a YouTube video the other day and I said I got this 75K with no net 30 accounts. The way I did that is I opened up a business checking account with PNC. PNC is a regional lender. Almost all of them are in good lending moods right now. Fortunately, their lending mood doesn't move too quickly. It's not like the stock market. If you're watching the news, you're reading headlines right now, you might be confused with all the things that are happening with tariffs. Real estate and business credit lending, they usually move over periods of like 6 to 12 months. So it's not like the stock market where the next day things can crash. I just had a client get approved for 50K on a soft pull from Wells Fargo for a business line of credit. That really does speak to the lending mood. And I know a lot of people are at a real estate club of getting approvals with Chase, and now they're doing no doc business lines of credit as well as business credit cards. If you didn't know that, check that out. All right, so what do we do at PNC? I would go out and look for property, and I'd find a property like a multifamily in Newark, and then I would go open a business checking account with PNC in person, put $100 in. That's it. Now I'm a client, which is treated different than a non-client. Then I would apply for the business credit card in about like 2 weeks or so after I got online access, the debit card and everything like that. You can apply right away, and sometimes they'll push you to do that to apply for the business credit card right away, and you could do that if you felt right about it. But for me, I opened up a business checking account, and then about a week later, I applied for this card. It's the PNC Visa Business Credit Card, 0% APR for the first 13 billing cycles, and also on balance transfers and purchases, which is very unique. So I was able to get a handful of those. It was like 5 or 6 that I got. I didn't boost the net 30 accounts of any of those businesses because I just created the LLCs like that morning. They do look at your business credit score. It's just in this case, it was empty. I was a customer, so that does help. I do have different phone numbers for all my businesses. I use different addresses, but it's just one address where we are, and it's a different suite. So like suite A, suite B, suite C, suite D, etc. The other thing is, and this is thanks to business credit, not using a lot of personal credit. So my personal credit scores are very good. They vary between high sevens and almost to mid eights. Like usually it's like right at 800. It wasn't always like that. It used to be 650s, 670s, right around there. But when I started using business credit, I was able to transfer my debt over to my business. And then now I just use business credit cards, not personal credit cards for the most part. And that allows me to have really good personal credit scores. So although they look at a blended score between your personal and your business credit score, if they can't see much on your business side, then it's mostly going to be the personal side that's really carrying the weight. There's a few things that got me approved, right? Number one, relationship with the bank, opened up the business checking account. Number two, having a lendable entity like an LLC and opening a business checking account with the bank so that I had a pre-existing relationship with them before I applied. All of that is important. Now, there are before I do that though, I wanted to show you this post. So this is our Elite Club program, and it's a post from Antonio, and he had asked, can he still get more credit if he's already showing $70,000? My answer was, yeah, you can. A lot of the lenders that I get funding from, they're not asking about your prior debt load. So that's one of the things I like about backyard banks and the no doc lending is that they're not asking for your tax returns, your balance sheets, your financials, or anything like that. What that means is that it's a lot easier to get funding. And even if you already have 75 grand or 70,000 in debt, like Antonio does, he was still able to get $50,000 with Wells Fargo. He has had an account with them for a while, which we definitely want to do if you're going to apply with Wells Fargo. And he got it with no hard pull. And this was just a day ago, yesterday, right? So this is fresh information. And I've had a couple students get approved with Wells Fargo, but I'm really impressed that two things. One, that Antonio took the training, implemented it, and all of that. But secondly, the fact that Wells Fargo is in that good of a lending mood, because usually the bigger banks start to pull back first. But right now, they're not really pulling back. The other thing I will say about business lending overall is that you might have one bank that's like doing this and another bank that's doing this. So you might have like TD Bank pulling back, and now you got Wells Fargo pushing forward. You might have Chase pushing forward. You might have Affinity Federal Credit Union starting to pull back a little bit, right? But banks like Citizens, PNC, KeyBank, these are some really good banks that you can get funding from. So don't sleep on the backyard bank list. Don't sleep on the national bank list. They're both really good options to go with. All right, so to kind of answer that first question, which is, do I need to build net 30s first or can I skip them? You can skip them, but I don't recommend it. I would say that I'm an expert, so I knew how to open the business checking account. I knew how to have a great personal credit profile with years old trade lines or 20 years old, great credit utilization at 2 to 3%, high credit limits at 20, 30, $35,000, right? I knew how to do all of that. Ideally, if you're just starting out, go get the first net 30 account. Your goal is, of course, to get 3 or more net 30 vendors to report to all 3 bureaus, right? But at a minimum, like I said in the beginning of the call, go get that Nav Prime account now. It'll already be reporting 2 weeks from now. So why would you skip it if you're it's going to report in a couple of weeks? So I do not recommend skipping, although I've practiced it before and I've had mixed results. I sent this email out today. If I were to just start completely from scratch today, here's steps that I would take. Step 1, open a business checking account with the right bank. Not all banks are created equal. I would recommend skip the mega banks for now, go local. More regional, smaller credit unions and community banks are way more flexible when it comes to getting business credit early on. You are more experienced and you have more trade lines showing up, then go for like the Chase, the Amex, and those types of cards. This is very important. People don't believe this, but this is true. Even if you only deposit $100, the minimum, you're 10 times better than just depositing nothing. So just open the business checking account with the bank, even if it's $100. You are now a customer. When you apply for business credit, which you could do in that moment, or you could wait a few weeks, which is what I prefer to do. When you're doing the application, you have a point of contact to talk to. If you get denied, you get someone that can try to push it through for you or learn from the experience. And even at $100, that relationship can make all the difference when it's time to apply for credit. Ideally, you want to make more than just one deposit and have a healthy deposit relationship. But trust me when I say doing something's better than nothing. You don't have to wait till you have 10 grand to deposit into the account. Even though that would help, it's not as important as just getting that account open. Step 2, set up your business to look lendable. I asked ChatGPT to go through all the calls, all the questions I'm asked, and then all like the misunderstandings or misconceptions, right? So that's actually why I created the company originally, is I was like, man, there's a lot of like conflicting opinions here. So I said, well, let me test it myself to just see what the truth is, right? I could talk a lot about that, but they call it, the scientific method that works, not just in business credit, but in health. Like, do vitamin pills really make a difference? Well, I did my blood work and my vitamin D was low. And then I took 3 vitamin D pills for whatever it was, 30, 60, 90 days. I do blood work again. My vitamin D went way up, right? Those pills work. So just test things yourself. Don't just rely on what you're learning on the internet or on YouTube, on Reddit. Just have the what's to go out there and just test it and take notes on it. And that way you're kind of removing yourself emotionally from the process. And you should see my notes all over here on my desk on these are the results of what sometimes this worked, sometimes it didn't. Anyway, so you need a business phone number. Don't use your cell phone. Okay. You should ideally have a real business email with your domain. So if my company is called Johnny's Pizza, so it'd be johnnyspizza.com, right? You need a business address, not a PO box or virtual mailbox. If you have a PO box or virtual mailbox, there's a chance here that when you apply for business credit, you're going to get denied. The Secretary of State may even deny you for a bad address. So you usually use a home address of the suite, or you could use a shared office address. Like this office I'm in today, there's 4 other businesses that are here, but it's a real office and I have signage and all that. It's not one of those fly-by-night virtual addresses, which are getting people flagged. And it doesn't matter. I'm on the business credit forums too, and I see people say like, oh, Opus is great, Regis is bad. That's not exactly really the way to categorize it. You look at if the address is registered as a commercial mail receiving agency, a CMRA, and you could just talk to the bank and ask them straight up. They hate those shared office addresses. Doesn't matter if it's Regis, Opus, Da Vinci, whatever it is. And again, half the time you're going to get away with it, but if you want to learn how to build something properly from the ground up, 100% of the time you will not have an issue with a home-based address with a suite, like Suite 1, Suite 2, or just use a real shared office address. Now, if you are using a PO box or virtual mailbox, I do use those, but I use it for mailing purposes. Like I had to go out last week. I went to the UPS store, I got my mail. So there is a difference between main business address, which needs to be a physical place, and then on any business credit application, the second line says what's your mailing address. It's okay if you are using a virtual box or PO box for mailing purposes. And if you do it that way, you could actually, people, and you're using your home address as your business address, people would never really know where you live as that easily, because if you Google even if you Google our company Business Credit Workshop, you're going to get my mailing address. You're not getting the physical address, right? So you can control what your online presence says. When you give information to the bank on the business credit application, it's private. Only they know that information. Again, if you have questions on that, we talk about this almost every month. Just let me know in the chat. I'll be happy to clarify. So yes, I'm telling you to ignore the TikToks and all the other fake gurus on YouTube. Step 3, build a scoreable credit profile fast. Most people think you need 3 to 6 months of net 30s. That's not true. It's old, outdated advice. There's still big, large business credit companies that are teaching that. You could get net 30 today. And like I said, in 2 weeks, it'll already be reporting. So those are the ones I like to get, like the eCredibles of the world, the Nav Prime, the Nav Prime card. That's a second trade line that you can get. Those are all really good. Step 4, build relationships with lenders before applying. Approvals do come from relationships, not just random applications. So if you're doing business credit card stacking, sure, you can get away with a lot without having a relationship based, but you'll actually do better with business credit card applications and lines of credit if you just meet the bank one time. And I'll be honest with you, they miss people coming in. I went to Bound Brook, Jersey, my old stomping grounds, to check in on a rental property out there. And I went to my old bank, and there was 3 banks on 28 on the main street: Chase, BOA, and Valley. Chase and BOA are missing. They're gone. I mean, that's what's happening, right? A lot of stuff's being done online. I walk in the Valley, I met 3 people giving me their business cards. I met the branch manager shaking my hand, the teller so happy to see me. So these backyard banks are still there, and they want to talk to you. You're probably the only person visiting that day. It's like seeing your grandma in the nursing home, right? Just get over there. They're gonna be really happy to see you. All right, so build relationships with lenders before applying. The value there is, if I were to apply with a business line of credit with Valley, which happens to be one of our banks on our list that we've had students get approvals with, we know we have an advocate now at the bank that's going to help us get approved. That's huge. And that's the only way I apply for business lines of credit. Lastly, banks don't always advertise their best funding. Like Valley isn't out there saying we offer no doc business lines of credit or business credit cards up to 25K. They'll say it when you walk into the bank and shake their hand, but they're not advertising it. It's not on their website. Wells Fargo isn't bragging about the soft pull. Like the options that are being offered in funding take 1 or 2 phone calls, 1 or 2 visits. But you're talking about, like I showed you with Antonio, you're getting $50,000 for spending a half hour on the phone, half hour in the branch. You're spending an hour to get 50 grand in funding. It's worth it. All right, bye for now.